Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Good
Hi.
morning. Hi, Sophie. How
All
are you?
right. Good. Good. Good to see you.
Yeah, same here. Same. So, how has
All
been
right.
your Christmas preparation and all?
Yeah, everything is going well. It's
Morning. Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
It's really well, we have some feedback.
Good to see you. Yeah, same here.
I hope
So,
that
how
stops.
has been your
Yeah, things are going well. Everything's low key. The kids are still with their mom. They come over tomorrow, and I went to a women's meeting last night with some people I had never met before, and we honored the directions. And there was a couple there who had met the Dalai Lama, met and spent time with the Dalai Lama, and they told us about how funny he was when he was with them. They know somebody who arranged a meeting. They were in Tibet, and so this person they knew arranged a meeting, and they said that while they were with him, I guess this monk who had been beat up and tortured and walked 6 months to get to the Dalai Lama, and he showed up, all tattered and beat up and worn and everything, and the Dalai Lama extended his arm to this man and pulled him to his chest, and the man just transformed. His face changed from gray and not healthy looking to just radiant. And the lady last night, she said she saw his arm go out like 12 or 15 feet to get this guy. That was her visual. Her husband said he saw this beam of light coming from the Dalai Lama's hand and engulfing this man and bringing him toward him. But they said it was miraculous.
Yeah.
So I never met anyone who had been with the Dalai Lama before. So this lady was 80 and her husband was probably about the same age or somewhere in that arena. But very interesting. It was an interesting group. I went with a person that I knew who lives in Alderson, who's from my hometown, but no one else did I know. So that was kind of nice, meeting a lot of new people. But everything else has been normal. It's still, we didn't get any more snow, but it's still crisp and cool outside, and people are doing their last minute things. And I went to a children's play on Wednesday night, and it was cute. It was fun to see. And there's been lots of little gatherings, different churches and groups, and yeah, everything's good. So how about with you? What's your last couple days been like?
So it was office regular. So today we celebrated the Christmas Eve celebration that we always have before a
Mhm.
festival. So that cake cutting and eating together happened today
Oh,
because
good.
the next 3 days will be holidays for us. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is Christmas. So that is why it is a holiday. Yeah.
So you're
So,
gonna you're gonna celebrate Christmas?
so we actually celebrate it before the festival because
Oh,
the festival is a holiday. We nobody none of us will come to the office, so we celebrate it beforehand.
oh, okay,
For
okay.
each festival we do that. For
Oh,
Diwali and all the festivals, because the festival day will be a holiday, so we celebrate it before. Yeah.
I get it. Okay, okay. The lady's home who we went last night was raised Jewish, and she had a menorah that belonged to her mother. And we lit the candles, and we said, as we lit a candle, we said, the light of me honors the light of you. So it wasn't a traditional, Hanukkah's over. It was over on the 15th of December. But we were celebrating the darkness and the solstice last night. And so she threw that in just because it's a celebration of light. And we went around the room with a talking stick, and everybody talked about what winter is like for them. And most people don't like the cold. um, I don't mind the cold. I would rather be cold than hot. uh,
Mm.
but it was interesting. A lot of us talked about going inside, and a lot of introspection, and yeah, it was pleasant. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you have a group which regularly introspects?
No, and I was some of the women that I met last night, the lady that had the event at her house, and a woman that was sitting across from me, I would like to see again, because they were talking about um, a group, forming a group, and they talked about a man who's from the Philippines that they go to see on Sunday, and his name is Augustus. And I thought, oh, maybe this is where I'm going to go on Sundays instead of, the Baptist church that I'm not connecting with. But I looked him up on Instagram, and he he's not what I'm looking for. He does a lot of uh, how can I describe it? He talks a lot. He talks a lot trying to while he's leading through a meditation, and that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for what you're talking about, a group where we can talk about, like you and I talk about, metaphysical stuff and spiritual stuff. So I wouldn't mind seeing these two women again, and maybe we'll have to start the group.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
because if you remember, many of us in that batch of the class that we did
yeah.
were from US. So, um, actually, those people were talking lot of things that has been happening with them, and they also came out of that because of this class. And
Mm-hmm.
um, whatever they were learning, I created a lot of notes, all the exercises and all, which I'll be linking to your book. You know.
Okay. Oh, your visual froze, and I can't hear you.
Maybe
Okay.
the now
Now
it's
I can't. Now I can. Now I can. Yeah.
so there are a lot of things we think it is there inside us, but it comes up when when we we are in the company of like-minded people, no, who are all in the same wavelength, but are in different journeys, different perspectives come up, and that will be very interesting. So that group, you can start with just two, but no, you can expand. And when you write the emails, there are a lot of people copy marked.
A lot of people do what?
They are
Copy?
they are copied in that email, right?
You mean my Villa Joy email?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
those,
there's about 20 of us.
yeah. So that group is very different from this kind of group that you are thinking to start.
Most of the people, probably 3/4 of the people in the Villa Joy group are metaphysically trained. Not
Okay.
every 3/4 to almost 90% are metaphysically trained, but we live all around, we live all around the world. So those people are not here. None of those people are here with me.
But they can be in a group now.
We could do a Zoom. Yeah, we could do a Zoom. A lot of them go to the Unity Church. And so on Sunday mornings, quite a few of them already go to, because that's where I met a lot of them. But I want to do an in-person group. I don't want to do I like doing this with you, but on Sunday mornings, if I was interested in Zooming, I could Zoom into several different Unity churches, but I want to actually be with someone and
Okay.
on Sunday morning.
Okay. No issue.
Yeah.
You can start that group, and
Yeah.
so that we can do a lot of introspection. That will be very interesting because
Yeah.
we are interested in getting into deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do
So,
you do do you have a group that you meet
so
with?
interestingly enough, I don't have a single friend like that. I I'm
Really?
I'm a very kind of unsocial, you can tell me, because
Uh,
I don't like going out. Um, I don't get into groups which only are interested in something else other than introspection.
okay. Okay.
And so that leaves me to be with people internally. Uh,
Yeah.
I cannot be physically with them. Whoever I follow, like Art of Living, Sri Ravi Shankar, and whoever. So there are very few people only who I get close to, very close to.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and also I don't like to go out at all, because those kind of people are not there. If that group
Uh-huh.
is there, then I would surely go. But I haven't found such a group.
And
They,
you don't feel like you want to start one.
I cannot start, because if I meet uh, another person, I can immediately start a group. But I haven't met such a person.
Yeah.
So whoever I have tried to go to several group. I try to be part of several kinds of groups, following of
Mhm.
different. I trust everybody's faith, and so I respect whatever they are doing. But I
Sure.
don't like the rituals that they follow.
Yeah.
It cannot be ritualistic, like lighting a lamp. Okay, it feels good, but it is not about everything. Um,
Yeah.
Lighting a lamp has to be very personal thing. It
Mm-hmm.
cannot be like every you. make it a point to go and light a lamp and forget about it or such kind of thing. So mm, I don't find those groups uh, to be uh, to be like that. I know there are groups which talks like this, but it I'd like to Namyoho Renge Kyo you must be knowing, right? The Buddhism thing, Japanese Buddhism.
Yes, I know something about it. I don't know. Yeah, I know something about it, but not a ton, not a lot.
Yeah. So the same here. I also don't know much about it, except that whatever the chanting that they do
Yeah.
is in Japanese, uh, which means like I surrender to you. I I'm close to you. I'm good. I respect whatever I'm getting. All those kind of stuff, which you
Uh-huh.
if you translate it, it is like that only. So why to say it in Japanese? Why not in English or in my mother tongue? The same thing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
essence is whatever Buddha has had preached in essence is something like to respect yourself
Yeah.
and get beyond the materialism that we all are through.
Mm-hmm.
This essence is the same as all we know. But
Yeah.
if you chant something and chanting has a different thing, you can chant anything that you like.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that. So
Right.
so that group also I don't like. But the result that they get out of those chanting, those I am interested in, but I won't go to listen to those because I can
Yeah.
get those stories online also.
Yeah.
So
The 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 chanting group that I belong to was started by people who were Sufis, the mystical branch of Islam. And only you didn't have excuse me, but you didn't have to be a part of any Sufi order to join. And we chanted everything. We chanted goddess songs, and we chanted Indian songs, and we chanted Jewish songs and Latin. We chanted everything. So it was perfect because it didn't matter that nobody was the same. It was lovely. Sometimes and then sometimes on the weekend we had a special weekend where we read a lot of poetry, and a lot of the stuff was from Rumi. Somebody always had something to read from Rumi. So we mixed it all up. And then I think they're starting to meet again, not as often as we did before COVID hit. And then once COVID hit, they tried to do it online, but you had to mute yourself except for the person who was singing because we couldn't all sing together. It just didn't work with all of us trying to sing. So they're just starting to do it again.
oh, that
Uh,
will be great. That will be great.
yeah, yeah. This is back in Ohio, though.
Okay, okay. So here, these groups, the thing that I don't like about the groups are, I like you and me and many people, they have several kinds of experiences in their lives, and you cannot discount all those experiences just because
Right?
there is something.
Yeah.
So I don't like. I would like to talk about from here. This example comes to my mind. I'll talk about that, even if it is not in the stream of Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't allow that. So it doesn't make any sense to me to be in uh, that kind of group.
Yeah. I could tell from last night, people were at various degrees of, excuse me, were at various degrees of what they knew. Because I asked, has anybody else here been metaphysically trained? And most of them were not even sure what I meant. The lady that was sitting across from me that I would be willing to spend more time with, she was very surprised when I mentioned something about past lives. So she said, "Oh, you know some of yours." So she's a neophyte in that department, and I don't know. There were two very young women, um, and we had all ages. So there was, the couple that met the Dalai Lama were in their 80s, and then there was a 23-year-old and I think a younger girl with her mother, and so we had a little bit of everything, but several people were artists. The lady Sharon, whose house we went to, was an artist, and she teaches origami. She's taught origami, and she had beautiful folded um, things on her windows, little all different kinds of shapes on her windows. It's a German paper folding technique with translucent paper. So the light shined through in the daytime when we were there at night. But um, she seems pretty, you know, I, I I think she's pretty metaphysically and spiritually trained. But a lot of the other people, um, the younger ones, maybe probably well, even the gal I went with, I thought that Fawn um, was more metaphysically trained than she is, because she said, "Oh, she's known Sharon, the lady whose home we went to, for a long time, over 20 years, because she took these classes from her." But she said last night, "I learned a lot about Sharon that I didn't know," and so Fawn, Fawn is not yeah, Fawn hasn't read the kind of stuff that you and I have read. Doesn't mean she wouldn't be interested at some point, but there's a big yellow cat. Go away, cat. Go away. He comes over here from the next yard and then he bullies all of our cats. Go away, go shoo, shoo. Anyway, yeah. So I think some people in that group might be interested, but I am not. I told them if they, when I looked up Augustus and I saw the way he talked, he'd drive me crazy. I could not. That's not I'm not looking to meditate with anybody who meditates like that, and I'm not looking for a Sunday morning meditation group. So we'll see. I could see starting, like I said, starting something, but yeah, not with him.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's a massage therapist. I would consider going to him at least once for a massage, and he does acupuncture. But there was something about his appearance. He was too he just looked kind of dirty to me.
okay.
Um and that turned me off too. And so I'm going to call the Jan, the lady that I met, and say, I would be happy to meet with you again, but Augustus is not what I was hoping for. So don't expect me there on Sunday morning. Anyway,
Okay. Yes, yes.
yeah. Um, a lot of the people yesterday knew Wayne Dyer's work and Deepak Chopra. For sure, the older people, they knew all of those books and all those people, but the younger ones, I don't think did. So, but anyway, um,
Yeah.
let me think if anything. Today I'm going to visit a couple older ladies in town and bring them some cookies. Uh,
Sure.
One lady is 100 years old.
Oh,
Yeah, she used to be married to a Baptist minister, and he's been dead for a while. But she was called the pie lady because she made really good pies, and they owned a restaurant. But now she doesn't get out. She's she's mentally still there. Her body is her body's not bad, but she has to be careful. She has trouble sometimes with her eyes, but she's a lot of fun to sit and talk to, and she has the best attitude. She just keeps on going. And the town had 100th birthday party for her, and the mayor went, and the governor sent her a certificate. It was lovely. So I met her because she had a little sign out by the side of her driveway, and it said free lilies. So she had free lily bulbs to give away. And I stopped, and I didn't even have shoes on that day. I don't usually go around with no shoes, but for that day I was out. I don't even remember why. I had an old crummy top, dirty clothes, paint all over them, and no shoes. So anyway, I stopped, and we became friends after that. And then there's another lady around the corner. She's got to be up there too, and she has a little thrift store. Um, and I saw her again the other day, and I'm gonna stop and bring her some goodies. So yeah, so that's my plan for today. I can, I'll probably, you and I can talk till about 11:30 or so, or unless we, quit sooner than that. And then I think I'm going to go to the senior center this morning, and because if I don't go today, I won't see all those people to tell them Merry Christmas before Monday.
yeah.
Yeah, so my day is going to be pretty low key. I may sit by the water. I may sit down by the water for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, something came to my mind now.
Mm.
Dalai Lama. Sometime I have seen two of his videos where he was drawing this. What is that? Um, ma- Mandala. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What do they call? Kal Chakra or something? I
Oh,
forget the.
um, a labyrinth, a labyrinth
So he does a circle kind of thing, and he does very minute thing on that,
with
and
sand,
with colored sand
sand.
kind,
Yeah, yeah.
and he does it with a group of people, and it
Right.
has to be very very accurate done. And
Mm-hmm.
if you kind of make it look three-dimensional, then it looks
Mm-hmm.
like a kind of pyramid.
Mm.
And that in mind, he draws that, and it is a ritual every year or after some interval. I am not sure, but I have watched him doing two videos uh,
Mm-hmm.
along with people, and whenever I have seen him on videos only with talking to somebody or something, he is very matter of fact, very practical. He doesn't
Yes.
show any of his this magical thing or spiritual aspect. He doesn't show
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
So uh, uh, and he do you know about his story? Like he says he is the last Dalai Lama,
Oh,
because
I didn't know that.
if he allows this Dalai Lama tradition to go on, then China may make a fake Dalai Lama, and
Mm-hmm.
they will do some destruction to their tradition. It is a very different kind of tradition.
Yeah.
Like the Dalai Lama gets reborn after his death. That is what happens. So
Hmm.
maybe China will do some kind of manipulation with that. So he says this is the last of them who will be born as Dalai Lama, but the
Oh,
tradition will be continued with something else, which is not yet public. What will
okay.
happen?
Okay.
And
I never heard that. I didn't hear that. That's interesting.
there are Dalai Lama is one tradition, which is the supreme tradition maybe of that Tibetan Buddhism.
Yeah.
Uh, but there are other kinds of Lama also who
Oh,
follow. They all follow each other. So there is this Panchen Lama, if you have heard.
mm-mm.
So that is another tradition which is you cannot say parallel because they all follow each other. And the last one that not last one of them, when they are about to die, they actually grow their beard.
Oh,
So when some of them start growing, then you should know that they are about to die.
mm-hmm.
So when one of them tried growing that, mm, the Dalai Lama asked him, requested him to continue and teach it to another. So immediately he shaved his beard
Oh, okay.
and he continued. And by then, when he decided to die, he was over 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that means he still continues, means he will be around 150 years, if not more,
Mm-hmm.
old. And he takes the orders or request, whatever you can say,
Mm-hmm.
um, of Dalai Lama to do that. Because he has to be very, very careful about saving the tradition, that
Mm-hmm.
he has, what I understand of this is a great tradition, and um, this this needs to survive. And in order to survive, they have to lose their identity. That is what
Yeah.
I understand. And
Yeah.
that means when you are not identified, how can you take that tradition on?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody will know who to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to devise another way of, without this recognition of Dalai Lama or this Lama or that Lama, they have
Yeah.
to have certain other ways to recognize each other after their
Yes.
death and after their rebirth. So that is secret. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of mm, intrigues me a lot as to
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What
suppose
what's gonna happen? Right.
suppose we are not meeting him this lifetime, and if we are destined to meet him in another lifetime, then how? There is no way, no known way, mm, that we can meet. But if we are to meet him, then we will be led into that, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting thought and idea. I'd never heard of that. And um, last night, Joe and Hano, the couple that met the Dalai Lama, said he wanted to he thought he wanted to live till 90, and by 90 he was going to be ready to go. Now maybe he'll change his mind, but that's what they, and I don't know how old he is now. Um, I know he's not anywhere near 90, but maybe he'll change his mind and change his plan, or you know, he'll get a spiritual download and change his mind or something. But that's what they said he told them. Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see how Buddhism changes, if it changes during our lifetime. And like you said, if it's in this dimension, maybe it'll be, maybe it'll be somebody else or somewhere else. Um,
Like,
I fin I finished reading the book on Mohammed. Did I tell you I was reading one on Mohammed? Because
oh,
yeah. So I finished it and I passed it on to Fawn, the lady that I went to the group with last night. Um, by the end of the book, the way that this author wrote it, Mohammed had um, gone to Mecca and made his peace with the people in Mecca so that they knew he was one of them again. But the underlying mentality of, in my understanding, the underlying mentality was, we will conquer you and then you can decide if you want to be Islam, want to join Islam or not. It did not ever, not nowhere in the book was it a peaceful spirituality to me. I don't know what you know about it, but I was very surprised. Um, I was just very surprised to learn what I learned. There were some firsts, like he was supposedly the first religion to honor one God. Um, and there were some other firsts that he brought to mind, but he just, he said that this information came from Allah, and he put it into action. Uh, it just seemed like it seemed not like the Catholic Church didn't have the Crusades. I mean, they did the same thing, because they thought that, their God was the only one. Uh, but uh, the the story of the story of Jesus being a little baby, and his life is so different from the way Muhammad was raised. And it just was so different. It just was. I'm so glad that I read the book. I'm really glad that I read it. I'm still processing it and trying to put into words. Um, but I don't think I could be an Islam. I don't think I could join Islam. I don't think I could ever be a Muslim.
yeah.
I could honor how they, the way that they live their lives, but I certainly understand how easily it is for them to cut people's heads off, and to, because I mean, they did that with, they just did that uh often. I mean, that, you know yeah, where the Christians crucified people, the Muslims cut people's heads off. So we all have our way of torturing one another, right? um but I understand why we have seen videos on TV with them uh, doing that to people, where we can see it. I totally get it. We may not agree, but I get it, because the culture has, that's how the culture has gone on. And, it just, yeah, it was just very surprising and very informative, and surprising in that there were so many firsts. But it's very political, and it's all about the state, the state of Islam and the states uh, around it, and understand it's possible to understand their spiritual mentality after reading this book. Because if you know nothing about Mohammed and how he came to power, you and certainly as a Christian, you wonder, because it's so different. And and certainly your religion is very different, but uh your what I know of your gods and goddesses uh, appear very different than the Muslim spirituality. And certainly Buddhism is very different. But yeah, it was a good thing to do for me. It'll be interesting to talk to another person, who was raised like I was and get their take on 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 this book if they read it and want to talk about it. It will be interesting.
So what I get today's books are, this is written by a person. Why I'm saying this is, if you know about Mahabharata, those epics that we have,
Mm-hmm.
Ramayana and Mahabharata, if you know about them, so these were epics. And and the Vedas, if you know, the old scriptures that
Yes.
so these scriptures were not written for thousands of years. These were only heard from another person and retained and passed on to the next generation. It was kind of that till it was written.
Okay.
So when it passes on from several people, it gets that person's perspective as well. You know. So
Mm-hmm.
initially, if it was say something like uh, uh, in our scripture, I get it because it started from the Vedas, which was initially simply 128 verses. Now it is thousands of verses, and
Oh,
initial God was just one, but subsequently it has become several,
mm-hmm.
and each god has is in charge of something.
Yes.
So there is a shift, you can see, from the initial idea to this idea. And the initially it was one god, and everything on earth that we see has godhood, including the
Mm-hmm.
and fish and snakes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So from that to to make gods of only human forms. Gods are
Okay.
in human form.
Okay.
Can you see the transition from that idea to this idea?
Yeah.
There is a significant transition. That means whoever heard it did something and interpreted in their way, and maybe the original was not what we get, but
Mm-hmm.
we get a lot of story around it to explain it, and those have become the epics, from
Mm-hmm.
scriptures to epics. So these
Mm-hmm.
epics were huge stories around
Mm-hmm.
something, about the same thing, states. So essentially, every religion starts from there and transitions to something else.
Yeah. And maybe Mohammed said we're the first ones that started saying there was one God, but that's not true. He claimed that, but that doesn't mean it was true.
Yeah. So
What? Uh-huh.
yeah, then when we got those stories also have several versions. Now, it is the person who writes the same story, adds something to it, because I have read several versions of the same story,
Mm-hmm.
and each one interprets in their way. Uh, what does that mean? That means essentially what you feel inside when you read those, and when you read something, you try to follow that to some extent, and then one day you find it is not anymore followable. You cannot follow it anymore. Then what? Then you get another door open, some insight comes in, and you know it is not what you were following, it is something else. You go another way, another interpretation, and then you start following. This is the way each of us, whatever we read, we cannot follow what other people have learned or interpreted. We have to
Okay.
have our own interpretation internally. Those are the ways to open up our minds if we are closed. So
So when you go to a temple, um, there's not a one priest that's going to give a sermon or a talk to everybody because everybody is interpreting the epics their own way. Is that true?
yes, so in a temple, what happens? There is a ritual going on. So what happens is you go light a diya. We call it
Mm-hmm.
a candle. It's a you put some ghee or oil and you light a small diya, and
Mm-hmm.
then it is your choice. You have to listen to the prayer that is going on with lot of rituals and
Mm-hmm.
sit down there meditating all the while. And I should say that it also gives me uh, inner calm at times, but it
Mm-hmm.
is not always that. It is not always that. As you say, this person you don't know, but you somehow repelled by his experience, his appearance, right? So the way these priests do the things, also not all the time you feel like sitting there and meditating.
Yeah.
So what do you do then? What do I do? I just go. Um, if I go, then I don't go to temples so very often. That also is true. But if
Mm-hmm.
I happen to go, then I just don't discount also the faith of other people. That is why I go inside and
Yeah.
I just uh, pray for say 2 3 minutes, and that's all. So um, I know this is not the nobody will, even I'm not going to teach anybody about how to follow the the real thing that we all are in pursuit of. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
They will follow their way, and the interpretation also will be very very different. But if it
Mm-hmm.
is violent, then they need to stop. As you are saying, Islam at that time might be it was a lot of violence out there, and
Mm-hmm.
in our way there is a toning down of those uh, uh, violence um, in our scriptures or in our stories. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because in Christianity and in Islam, they have treated both the parties as same, and somebody is killing the other person. So, which is not acceptable. But here, the same killing is going on, but one is good and one is bad. So, the good
Yeah.
is killing the bad. That is why it has been toned down, but killing is the same. We
Yeah.
don't know what kind of people those were who were killed.
Mm-hmm.
We are given to understand that those bad people also had many good qualities, and that is true. Even in a very good person, there are some bad quality, and in a very bad person, there are some good qualities. So, who is good, who is bad? There is there
Yeah.
is there is no proper definition. Human being has to
Yeah.
be some good, some bad, and for
Yeah. I
us,
don't I don't even like to use those terms. I use cause and effect. I
yes,
just use cause and effect.
uh,
Yeah.
those things are explained in our epics, that
Mhm.
what caused them to be that bad. So, and if that, once you know that, you tend to forgive everybody, because
Yeah.
of this happened and this person became bad because of this. Now once you
Hmm.
know that, you are not against anybody. But what is happening right now in India especially is when when the religion, uh, it can be called as fanaticism, right? So when you are going to the extreme, saying that this is good and this is bad, that is what I call as fanaticism. There is nothing like that, and
Yeah.
they are trying to tell it like that way, picture it like that way. So, and very surprisingly, many people also uh, think that to be true and that to be proper, and that is very sad. Uh, I don't
Have you
think.
have you read a lot about Yogananda and his life?
Yes, yes. I read his biography, and
Hmm.
when I read it, there was a different kind of experience. I felt like I was there in a different zone. For
Hmm.
I took 3 days to read that biography, and
Uh-huh.
I felt like I was somewhere else. And
Hmm.
when we get that kind of state, it is, I don't know, we kind of rationalize that, saying, just downplaying that. But that was a different kind of experience. I still remember. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
thought, because it was the first time I was reading an Indian describing that, maybe that was why, because I was in that state. I was feeling that. But it
Hmm.
was not true. I have read many people describing their stories before. So
Yeah.
it was not that. It was actually a very good experience, a different kind of experience.
Yeah. Yeah. If I don't know if you know anything about the way that the Baptist people believe, but they are very staunch believers that um, Jesus died on the cross, and many traditional Christians look at it the same way. That some Baptists are just more fanatical about it. Um, and the Pentecostal people are even more fanatical in many ways, very vocal, you know, by yelling out amen and hallelujah and all that kind of stuff. But they truly believe that, um, Jesus died on the cross and was crucified to save our souls because we're bad. Because of all the sins that we do, you can depend on Jesus to have died for you. And in the Catholic Church, the Catholic religion, you go to confession. A lot of people shake their heads at this. You go to confession, you say the things that you did bad. The priest gives you prayers to say that they call penance, and then you're forgiven and you can go on. And if you do it again, you can go to confession again. Well, sooner or later, that's not going to work for you. You can't, sooner or later, your life isn't going to work, regardless of what you tell the priest. In the Baptist, in the Baptist church, I don't think there's anything like religion, but like the minister that at the church I was going to here, every Sunday he invites people at the end of his talk to come forward. And if you want to give your life to Jesus, or you want to, be baptized, or you just want to talk with Jesus, he will sit with you or stand with you in front of the church and pray with you. They don't have confession or anything like that, but they firmly believe that, unless you believe that Jesus died for your sins, that you unless you take him into your heart, that you're going to go to hell. You're not going to heaven, you are going to hell. And this young minister minces no words in saying that. So he brings into every talk that he gives that belief that you have to be saved, or you have to take Jesus into your heart because you're a sinner, and if you do that, then you can go to heaven, but otherwise you're going to be in a hot place for a long time. And I'm only telling you that because if you didn't know that, that's truly what many people believe, and I have a hard time with that because it makes people feel very guilty. The Catholic Church put a lot of shame and a lot of guilt on people, and the Baptist Church does the same thing. And many people here are afraid, as I have said to you, they're afraid to die because they're still worried that they haven't earned their way to heaven. Yeah, they don't talk about the peaceful part of who Jesus is, and the loving part about they pay more attention to the wrathful, righteous, I will get you in the end if you're not good enough, and I just can't deal with that. I was raised with too much of that, and I've had uh, and I truly believe that whatever you believe is what's going to be for you. So that's just what I think happens. I don't have any proof, but I think if you believe that, there's only heaven, I think that's where you're going to go. And if you believe that you haven't been good enough to go to heaven, you won't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can't be a Baptist or a Christian or a Christian or a Christian with that kind of belief. And the Protestants, I'm not very familiar with the Protestant religion, other than those spiritualities were started by modern, like Luther, Martin Luther, and the Methodist Church, and those were started Calvinists and all that stuff. So I don't know much about the Protestant religions, but yeah, they have their way of hanging you over the flame too, though, I think. Whatever works for anybody. I'm not making fun. I'm just going, no, I can't do that. I can't do that one.
So in Hinduism, you can say they have several dimensions, and they don't say, they are saying that nothing gets destroyed. It is always there. The soul is always there. You are always
Yeah.
there. Only
Yes.
that you are into another reality.
Yes.
Which is different than ours, and you have a separate kind of responsibility out there, and you are called for that responsibility there, and from one to another you go discharging all your responsibility, and that is how things go on, and there is no end. Like, your responsibility doesn't stop just because you are not in your physical form anymore. So
okay,
that is what we all know, and whoever whoever, whatever story from west, east, wherever you read those stories of past lives, or there is this concept of parallel universe also, which means we are still existing in another universe, several universe at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and even after we are gone, because the concept of time and space, we think that there is past, there is future, and then the time concept is there. But beyond this physicality, there is no concept of time. There is
Right.
no start,
Right.
no end, which means
Yes.
we are existing already in several other dimensions, other
Yes.
universe also at the same time.
Yes.
So, and it is not only of East or Hinduism. I have read several stories of other people also, Westerners also. They
Yes.
all have spoken about uh, being medium to other people who are not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, they, I read one story about a lady recently who has been a medium to Nostradamus, Mm.
Uh-huh.
And uh, he existed in the 15th century or so, and he didn't like women,
Oh.
um, and he thought women are good for only childbearing or something.
Mm-hmm.
They are not intelligent being. That was his understanding. So
Mm-hmm.
when he was speaking through this lady, mm, then he was saying something about our future and other things. Future much beyond our years. Like say he was telling about uh, uh, 3000 AD or something. So
Mm-hmm.
we cannot comprehend whatever he was communicating. He already knows because he was predicting future. So he still does that in another universe. And he was saying that I am not his spirit. I am Nostradamus and I am here. I exist in a parallel universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was telling the same through this lady.
Mm-hmm.
This lady, when she was not speaking for him, she was saying, I communicate with him. And he didn't realize for many, many years that I am a woman. So,
Ah, and then what happened? Wow, that's pretty good.
then he, and he couldn't figure out mm, from her form. So he didn't have that capability in his existence, whatever you can say, to
Uh-huh.
understand whether it is a man or a woman. So,
Right.
and
Don't you think that makes sense? That
yes,
makes perfect sense. In another dimension, there is no gender.
no gender, and
Yeah.
his concept of women being not intelligent was disproved there,
Oh,
and he was
gosh.
very surprised that how come you are able to communicate what I am saying, being a
Yeah.
woman. So he was surprised that way. And
I wonder, did, did he still continue to come through her after he found out she was a woman?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
because he cannot help that. He cannot
Yeah.
help it. He had to pass on whatever he had to say
Yeah.
through somebody, and his essence feels her to be the most perfect.
Isn't that
So,
interesting?
so he doesn't have any control. So this
Yeah.
was this was what
I,
I last
oh,
read.
I like
And,
that. That's
and
interesting.
so
Uh,
this person was he was not an Indian. He was from US, or I don't know which place he was, from
mm-hmm,
Europe or some place.
mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm.
was not talking about hell and heaven. He was talking about a different dimension, all the same. And if you are reading, many people also, you in your experience also, out of body experience,
Yeah.
you didn't see heaven or hell. You just saw yourself in some other place other than your body.
Yeah.
So it was not heaven, not hell. So that concept was bullshit, I think.
Wow. Wow. Um, Before I forget, I wanted to ask you, what's the difference between the Bhagavad, how do I say that?
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, what's the difference between that? That's a holy book, right? And the Vedas. What's the difference?
Yeah. So Vedas was like you and me speaking the conversation. This also
Okay.
is very holy. That is how the Vedas have interpreted. Everything you see, everything that is in existence is holy. That is the essence that the
Okay.
Vedas come with. Bhagavad
Okay.
Gita says practical ways of conducting your life.
Is the is that book, is it a holy book, and is it supposed to have come from the gods and goddesses in India? Who wrote that?
So it was a poet called Vyas. His name was Vyas, and he was supposed to get it from one of the lords, Lord Ganesha, and
Okay.
that was what we get to know. But in essence, if you go through that, it says lot of in a very cryptical way. You can say it is coded, but when you say the simple thing is like how you the other person is you, the same as you, we all are one.
Right.
So that is the ultimate thing that it conveys. But how you conduct yourself, like it says that when you are working on something, you just have to have the trust that you will be reaching there. You don't have to bother every day that whether you are going to achieve that result or not. You
Okay.
will maybe you will not achieve that result, but a far more gratifying result than you can conceive ever. So that is a
Okay.
beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, and this is what I experience day in and day out,
Yeah. Good for
and
you.
it helps me
Mm-hmm.
in understanding that whatever we are now getting to listen from Wayne Dyer and other people, Deepak Chopra, all of them are saying the same thing in a different words, but
Yeah.
essentially they're all leading there. And yes, they're interpreting in a this is experiential, right? So they haven't read that Bhagavad Gita maybe, but
Yeah.
they are saying essentially the same.
Yeah. I think that um the more time I spend on the earth, the less things that I need, and uh the more time is valuable having these kinds of conversations with people. So when I tell some people, not everybody, that I really think that I will live till 140, I am starting to think about it won't look like the first 75 years of my life. That last 70 years is going to be very different. And I think I'm in the transition of that, because I don't think I would be at this place in my life, looking at all the spiritualities and looking for the commonality of them. I don't think I would be looking for that unless there was some big reason to do that, unless there was some big shift going to come for me. And I feel like there is. And maybe the last maybe I can't even call them years, maybe some awakening or enlightenment will happen and I won't even call them years, or I don't know. Maybe I don't even have the words to describe what's going to happen, but I just have a sense that for the amount of time that my body, the physical body, could still be on the earth, it's going to be a very different experience. It's not going to be about what job I have. It's not going to be about how much stuff I accumulate. It's going to be different.
So there is one mathematical formula I can share with you, Sophie,
All right.
To understand how your life is going to go, at least some
Oh,
understanding of it.
all
So
right.
every 30 years, our life comes to the first place where we started.
Oh, I never heard
So,
that before.
yeah, every 30 years. So if you look at your 30th year, then you'll know wherever you were, that is where you started. Started means it's like not like circle, but it is like a wave. So
Okay.
if
Okay.
you go like this, and so you have reached 30, means it's at the same plane, but you are not at the same place. It is the
Mm-hmm.
same point, but you have traveled this far.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
next 30 years is again another circle. We may call it as a sine core, but
Yeah.
another 30 years, and again at the same plane in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first 60 years that you have already spent, two cycles you have experienced, you just you can see these data are historical data for you to comprehend what will be the next 30 years. The 98th year will be. And it's a substantial change you can see, right? Over the it was never like the when you were young, say as a 15-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and you being 45 years old. There was a huge difference between these two.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how you can comprehend, because you won't know how you were in day zero, the day you were born. But you
Mm-hmm.
can know when you were 15 years old. So that is how, if you comprehend, then the next is when you were 45, then 60 years old. And then the next is 75. That's how you can see how much you have traveled and in what direction, and how
Mm-hmm.
it has changed. And you can see a pattern then. So you can expect similar thing, similar pattern, not the things in your life, taking you to a certain direction.
And where does this mathematical where does that come from?
This is astrology. Uh,
Oh, all right.
yeah. So, uh, sorry. Every
I
30
know
years,
I know Saturn comes back every 29 years. I know about Saturn's return, but I haven't heard about the 30 years before.
30 years means, the circle that the entire astrology is. It is like
Yes.
12 signs. Each of
Yes.
each of them 2.5 years makes it 30. So
Okay.
the sun spends 2.5 years with each sign. If you take that, then it is completely 30 years. So that is the
Okay.
cycle. So
Okay.
and so every 30 years your things change. If you look at Chinese astrology, every
Mm-hmm.
30 years every 30 years your sign will repeat. Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
according to your birth year, they will assign you a sign. Mine is a wood dragon. So
Okay.
this year again it is a wood dragon, because I will be completing 60 years. So, so this year it has started. It will end on 24th October, which means, yeah,
Your birthday, your original birthday is October 24th.
yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't
So,
know that.
yeah, yeah. So
All right.
24th October 2024, Wood Dragon will end. So it has repeated every 30 years. So
Okay.
this year, I'll be experiencing lot of changes because every 30 years, I remember when I was 30, it was a significant change from a certain me me being in a certain from a certain mindset to another mindset. I transition. So
Mm-hmm.
I expect those all those things to happen this year.
So are you telling me that you expect to see, do you expect to see new lessons in the next 30, or are you going to see the same with with um more discernment? Is it going to repeat the same stuff, going to repeat, or what? Tell me that again.
So I am going to see lot many changes according to my vision. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm being uh, taken towards my vision and what the universe has. There has to be some alignment between this and that. That is how you get your vision. There
Okay.
is there is some bias that is bound to come into your vision because you will get biased because of your desires and all those things. But
Yeah.
there is some element of it why it has come in the first place.
Can
So
you speak? Can can you speak your vision? And has your vision been the same all through those 60 years? It's just gotten more refined. Do you have the same vision? Oh,
so
wow.
vision is always global. Vision is always the way. That day also, the last time we spoke, I was telling you that I always loved being amongst happy people.
Yeah.
And how people will be happy is their basic requirements need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And when people introspect and when people have time to innovate, take advantage of their skills, that is when people will be happy, right? And I always wanted to be amongst those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so this will happen only if I can I can contribute somewhat to help those people become that.
Mm-hmm.
They can have their own journeys, but each of us is contributing to each other's journey, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my job is to, and I would like to contribute in that because I wanted to be amongst those people. Very successful, very happy, very cultured, and very introspective people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this will not happen if I'm not given my vision. So
Mm-hmm.
that is how I demand it from the universe. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I accept that bit of my desire also is included in that. I don't mind that. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I would be happy if I am given even what I am not asked so far. I have not asked so far. So much more
Mm-hmm.
than that. So yes, that vision will be even bigger this year.
Mm.
And whatever
When 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 do you remember being conscious of your vision? How old were you when you became consciously able to speak it?
this form I have just started speaking, able to
Okay.
got it very recently, just
Okay.
4 5 years back, just before COVID, I can see. But
Okay.
the feeling of being amongst happy people was with me since I was a child.
Okay.
The other day we were speaking about this car, right?
Yeah.
So as a small girl, I always dreamt of being in a bus where I'll be traveling with happy people.
Mm-hmm.
So always I remember this concept that I'll
Yeah.
be in a group. And when you ask whether you have a group, I cannot have that group because people are not happy because of certain things, their own
Yeah.
limitation or their own understanding, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I am convinced that if I can influence or I can open that part of them, and that requires certain thing, certain contribution or action from my side
Yeah.
to so um, whatever I'm given, whatever responsibility I'm given in
Yeah.
achieving that vision, I'm okay to do that.
Yeah.
But I also have to be given that capability um, to be able to do that. That capability is the vision. Like
Okay.
whatever I want to achieve. But this has been the idea.
And so if you find that it's easier to keep a happy vision and be alone, you are willing to do that.
Yes, alone, yes. But you know what use? What use if you cannot share your being happy? I'm happy being alone.
Yeah.
But if with this, and what is this happiness about? It is feeling that I'm enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this feeling has to come also from the group of people who actually make the earth complete.
Mm-hmm.
I am not the only one who can make the earth complete. So um, there has to be a lot many people working towards that,
Sure.
and that lot has to that is where I'm heading, doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why if you see my African crusade, I don't have any business out there. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because of this vision, I keep on doing this, that, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. I understand. Um, before I forget, before this flies out of my head, I need to share this with you because it it has something to do with all of what we're talking about. The other day when I was doing the hemisync, um, I've been doing hemisync for the last week and a half, and I went a little farther with being able to remember my first past life and remembering that in that first past life I recalled I was became conscious of my consciousness. But I also asked while I was in the meditation, why was Dean there? Why did I see him? Eons and eons ago. Why was he there? And the answer I got uh was very interesting because it was partly so that I could understand his disappointment,
Oh,
because disappointment in my life has been the biggest challenge for me. I don't, I worked my way through anger, but disappointment comes up often and I have to work with that. And then another thing was sacrifice. So that's why the Christian thing about Jesus on the cross, you know, I sacrificed myself and he was disappointed when we had that past life in Egypt together, when I wouldn't go out with him, and my sacrifice was telling my mother that I would stay in the pyramid with her. So fast forward to this lifetime, and this comes from listening to a lot of recent people who had their near death experiences, and then their life flashes in front of them, and the ones I have listened to, they said you have a chance to experience how other people felt based on the things that how you acted toward them. And I'm thinking this makes perfect sense, because he and I so a lot of the reason for him being in my life, I just had another awakening the other day, as I'm telling you, was to realize he had a lot of disappointments in relationship with me. Oops. And I didn't know that. I really didn't get that until just the other day, when I started looking that we really are mirroring one another. He's made a lot of sacrifices in his life. Um, and he's had a lot of disappointments, and I have too. So it gave me a little more information about these past lives that I didn't have until the other day. I only had the sense of, in Sophie's body, in her emotional body, she's been disappointed a lot, and and now she knows how to work her way through it. Where when she was younger, she didn't. She was just disappointed and felt bad. And then that led to depression and all kinds of stuff. So in this physical body, as a 75-year-old, I know how to deal with disappointment when it comes up. And I know that I can choose to sacrifice or not. So, and be, I don't talk to him anymore, but I still love him and I think about him. At this moment, I just know that it's not healthy for us to be in touch. It's not healthy for me to be in touch with him. But I was thinking about him a lot, because I mentioned, Christmas was a nice time for the two of us together, even though it was cut short because of his other obligations and my obligations. But I needed to go a further step with all of that. And it was very helpful. It was very helpful to see, because it helps me understand him better, helps me understand myself better, helps me understand the the stuff that's coming in this next 30 years, that, like you said, you'll be able, if you choose and you come across people that you want to help, you will be able to do that because of your vision. And I guess my vision includes not sacrificing myself any longer, and not falling prey to disappointment, and then helping other people, if if that comes about, if I can do that.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was very, yeah. So those are probably, I've been asking spirit, to take me beyond my body, and to give me some insights. And I think those are the insights that I got in the last couple days. And I think talking to you is firming all that up, because I haven't spoken it to anybody. You're the first person that I've talked to about it. And I would certainly like to talk to Dean about it, but the time isn't right. And, I've already said to him, have a happy life. I'm not going to talk to you again and all this kind of stuff. But there's a part of me, this much of a part of me, that wonders, like, if his wife died and he found himself single, there's a part of me that wonders whether he would ever get in touch with me again, because I'll be a different person then. And, maybe our life together could be different. And then again, he may die tomorrow, or I may die tomorrow. I don't have any ideas about that. But yeah. So the insights I got in the last couple days have been very, very helpful.
So whatever has been in your mind for, say, whatever you have been thinking, sometimes what we think we don't know. Sometimes we think it twice and thrice, so we know a bit of it. And sometimes we think and form an idea about it. So those three, four kinds of things keep happening in our thoughts all the time. So the most progressive of all those things, all those categories, will take us forward. We don't even realize which one.
Yeah.
So, so that is why being open helps, because you are not very rigid about getting this, that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because you will always get the best. Um, but we won't realize that immediately what was the best for us.
Yeah, what the high was. Right, right.
So the best, this every 30 years, the best will show up in your life.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So that is the plus point. It starts happening. Everything has a fallout. So after, suppose you get the best now, and
Mm-hmm.
then it has two aspects. One is the fallout of it, and one is the best of it. So
Mm-hmm.
unless you realize what is the negative part of it, you won't be able to appreciate what is the best of that, and eh, be ready for the next best. So
Mm-hmm.
that is how the whole cycle goes. So
Okay.
so
Um, I can I can see in his and my relationship the most positive part of it is he is a very loyal person. He was very loyal to me, and he's very loyal to his wife in in the arena that he operates with her. I've known this man since 1998,
oh,
and I have learned more from him than anyone else, than any other man in my life. Even though I had my children with John, the issues that I had with John, I'm not working out with him. I'm working them out with Austin. And the same, and I have a much different relationship with John now than I did. I could say to him anytime that I'm talking to him, I'm totally comfortable with saying, this is how I was thinking in the past. And he said, "Oh, I never knew that." And I said, "Well, how would you know? I never told you." But the things that show up on a daily basis that are uncomfortable, I have to work out with Austin, because I live with him, and he's got his dad's DNA, and it's so interesting. It's so interesting to watch. It's so interesting to watch.
mhm.
I could allow myself, I could allow myself to be disappointed about a lot of things in the life that Austin and I choose together, but it's not important stuff. It's not important stuff at all. When I step back and I look at who he is, and what we are learning and sharing together, the disappointments are tiny. The disappointments are really tiny, and that's a good thing to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So
I
Dean,
am. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dean is your second husband, as you said? Yeah.
No, I was never married to him.
Okay, okay,
I met him at work, and he was married but separated before I even met him. So he had his own house, uh, that he bought not too long before I met him at work. But
okay.
he said he and his wife have not had an intimate relationship for a long time, long before I ever met him.
Okay.
So, but uh, yeah, I was never married to him.
Okay.
But I learned the most. I learned the most from him. None of what my second husband was in one of my past lives. He was a trapper. He was a mountain man and a trapper of furs and stuff. But none of my other people that I was married to were ever in my past lives. And Dean's been in three of them. I mean, he's been in two past lives that I remember, and then physically in this lifetime. But I've never been married to him. I just learned a lot from him.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So yeah, yeah. So again, the hell and heaven thing was not there in your past lives as well. So
no,
it
it
is
was
just
not.
that our experiences, and because we are learning, we are evolving souls. That is why people, all those souls need to be in our lives, maybe, and which is why we are also in their lives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And I'm sure that he thinks of me. I know that he does because he and I are the same when we say, if I have ever loved you, I will always love you. It doesn't mean I may see you, but that doesn't, the soul of who I am continues to be that, continues to be that loving soul. Um, so we'll see. I'll just let it unfold. When Michael Beckwith gave me that word, I shared that last night with the people that it was a very simple word, but it really changed my life. Yeah. Because up until that time, I didn't let things unfold. I was pushing them and tweaking them and pulling on them and yanking on them. And, it's like, oh, so.
the fourth part that he gave was very interesting. It was really simple, and
Mm-hmm.
accepting everything that is around, because we don't have to wish, we don't have to desire something, it will unfold. That is what he said in the fourth part. He made it absolutely effortless kind of thing. We need to be effortless in our,
Yes.
and that surprised me actually when he came out with that.
Uh, we both were surprised, huh?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm,
That is what the Hinduism or Buddhism or anything that I have read so far says, to be not affected by what is going on, because it is
yeah.
all uh, all designed for your best, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be very negative unless we make it by resisting this.
Yeah.
We can't comprehend what is best for us. That is why
Yeah.
we resist, and that is how we make ourselves miserable. Otherwise,
Right.
it is all very, very blissful. It is
Yes.
supposed to be. Yeah.
Right. 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 When in 2021, when I was driving from Ohio down to West Virginia to be with Austin for the 4th of July celebration, that's when I had that big awakening and said, Sophie, you need to get out of your own way because what you said you wanted to create in Ohio is not happening. So get out of your own way. You like being in West Virginia. Just talk to Austin about moving in with him. And it was time for me to jump into a major shift. And that's how that all happened. So yeah. Yeah. I have heard myself say recently, I don't know what it would take to get me back to a big city. And I know better than to say never. I know better than to say never. So, I'm just going to let it unfold. And in meditation the other day, I got that Austin is not going to be in this house as long as he thinks he's going to be here because he thinks he'll be here until the kids grow up or decide they're going to leave. I don't think that's going to happen. I think something, he'll either meet somebody or something will happen. He's not going to be in this farmhouse for the next, you know, X amount of time that he thinks, which, and we'll see, you know, we'll see. We were talking about Christmas yesterday together, and I said, that I was telling him how Christmas used to be difficult for me to enjoy, and I was sharing all the things that made it better and the things that I changed about myself so that Christmas is enjoyable for me now. And he's still he is blah with Christmas, and I said, except for the kids. I said, what would you like? I said, you'd like the kids to be 2 and 4 years old again. That was the most fun when they were little. And I said, so when did Christmas start to not be so much fun? And he said a couple years ago. Well, that's when he had his surgery and when Hannah moved out. And so I'm going to do my best to make him realize that Hannah was not, she was not the only fish in the sea. And there are other people, just like his father. I didn't expect to get divorced from John when I married him, but John and I together were all about the kids. We're all about having the kids. And I think maybe Hannah and Austin were the same way. It was about having the kids, and then they both, have gone other directions, and they're civil to one another, but they're not the best for one another. And he's dated a couple people, but they were mostly sexual experiences. That he's never found anybody that he's been on the same wavelength with, and I think it's because he's just not ready. He'll know, and that's what makes me think he won't be in this house that long. Something's gonna happen, or and we'll just let it happen. So, and do you think you're gonna be in your present home for a long time?
Well, I haven't been in any of my houses for long, Sophie.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
the moment I decide that I'll be here for the next whatever years I have, within 6 months I'm out from there somewhere
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah.
I cannot decide today also that I'll be here. This is a rented house in any case.
Okay. Okay.
So even in the last 7 years that I have been in Delhi, I have changed 4 houses.
Wow. Wow.
Somehow I cannot be in the same place all the time. Somehow.
Okay.
And the other
That's
day,
because you and I are water signs, and we have to keep flowing.
uh, if you ask me, I always wanted a place. Always wanted to be traveling, and yeah, and so that is the reason why I wanted a small house. And
Okay.
not even small house. The way my life has been, I have been living in two briefcases so many years in my life. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
when I was not married, even then I didn't have anything in my room.
Mm.
Just
Okay.
just a few clothes and some books and some notebooks. That's all.
And your
So
bed. That was it. And your bed.
not even a bed. I
Oh.
slept, I slept on the floor.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
so two briefcases, literally all the time before
Okay.
I came to Delhi. And the moment I have I have worked in 16 states of India, and the moment I shifted from one place to the other, I didn't carry beyond two briefcases any of my belongings.
Wow. Wow.
So so that means I didn't want a house either, which means where I lived very simple, and whatever is accommodated within 2 briefcases. That's all that I'll be carrying. But here
Mm-hmm.
at Delhi, I have been living with my daughters. The elder daughter
Right.
is now okay, but the younger ones, they want a full-fledged house. They are not like me. So that is how my house is a bit, some furniture and other
Yeah,
things are there. The
stuff.
house is full.
Got more stuff now. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I cannot live without this. I can still live with the 2 briefcases wherever you shift me. So
Yeah.
I'm ready for life at any moment
Mhm.
if I'm shifted. So mm, and subconsciously also, I have started looking for the next shift. I'm not here where I am right now. I have already started shifting. So the physical shifting will happen very soon.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah. So
right.
I don't have any idea as to where, what.
Okay.
But I know.
All
Yeah.
right. Are you shifting your job also, or just your place
Yes.
of
Yes.
living?
Shifting my
Oh,
job also. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Well, keep me posted.
Sure. Sure. But now it
What
is.
time? What time is it getting to be?
I think by this year it will be. I don't know. I don't have. I absolutely don't have any idea. But
Oh,
going.
it's 11. I have 15 more minutes, and then I gotta go.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
as I told you that every 30 years it is going to shift in the way you have never thought of. So this is the
Yes.
year. So I can expect change, huge change anytime.
Yeah.
Even
Yes.
tomorrow it can happen. It
Okay.
has happened like that all the time in my life. So
Yes.
I know it will happen that way only.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm at a place where I have the least amount of stuff than I think I'm at the very same place. I don't feel like I'm right on the edge of moving, but I do know that I could easily let go of of a lot of what I have,
Yeah.
which is mostly artwork and clothes. And I have more chairs than anything, more chairs for people to sit in, which is interesting. But if they had to go, they'd have to, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
so uh, just one thing I would share before we close today is that my father passed away in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, we have a lot of land to us, both of us, my brother and I, both of us inherited those lands.
Oh,
So,
I did.
huh.
Okay.
So my brother sent me a letter asking me to uh, give give the power of attorney to him so that he can do anything. And without any hesitation, I gave that to him. And
Okay.
he actually was very surprised. He was very surprised.
Uh,
He didn't ever thought that I am this way. And I wonder the whole life he knew me, but he couldn't figure this out of me that I'm not attached to anything. But I don't misutilize anything in life. That doesn't mean I'm attached to something.
yeah.
So that was a revelation to him, and a lot of behavioral change happened to him after that, which would have been
Mm,
useful if it would have happened during my parents' time,
mm-hmm.
because they were worried all the
Younger.
time.
He's younger than you. Your brother is younger than you. Okay.
So, anyway, so that felt like a victory, you know. So
Uh-huh.
it was a big time victory for me, and I kind of try telling this about this to my daughters. I'll describe it to you some other time.
Okay.
But yes, mm, this helps, and I know this is one big change happening this year because of so many changes, so many signs that I get about these big changes, which I don't,
Mhm.
don't know what all, but you can feel those
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Those of us who are conscious and aware know when it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
For you. Good for you. I'm sure they'll be exciting.
Yes, yes, very much. Yes.
Mhm. All right. Well, I'm gonna go in the house and use the bathroom, and then I gotta start on some of my errands and head over to the senior center. So, Merry Christmas,
To you too.
Happy New Year. Uh,
So,
is your New Year gonna your New Year isn't gonna start on January 1st like mine, is it?
yes, yes. We
It
start now.
is? Okay. All right. You're gonna celebrate the same way then. All right. Well, we're gonna have fish on Christmas. We're gonna have salmon on
Okay,
Christmas night. And in the morning I'm making some kind of a bread pudding with
okay,
cranberries and eggs and nuts and
okay.
stuff. So
Great.
what are you gonna cook?
Uh, I'm not sure. I'm not a good
Okay.
cook.
I do simple. I have to do simple. Yeah, I have to do simple. But are you gonna celebrate with your daughters?
Yes, yes. My daughter, uh, the elder one will come. She is in Sweden. Did I tell you that? So,
No.
yeah, yeah. So she and her husband, they have moved to Sweden on work.
Oh, oh,
So their stay has been extended for another year, so they will be there till next September. But every
oh,
year they come to India during this time. So they are
oh,
going
great,
to come on January 11th, and
great.
from February 20th to March 4th, they will be going back, during which I also go along with them. So I'm
Oh,
visiting Europe this time.
well,
Yeah,
that's great. Good
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Good for you. That's wonderful. Uh, I'm looking forward to being in Scotland in May. I'm looking forward to that trip. I don't think I'm going anywhere before then, but I'm looking forward to getting back on the road. I'm due. I'm due to travel. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, I hope Santa Claus is very good to you.
Yeah. Same to you too, Sophie.
Thank you. I love you. Bye.